Welcome to Porcelain Peak, a strange and scary podcast dissecting all things horror and sci-fi. Here are your hosts, or what's left of them, Tone, John, and Anthony. Enjoy the trivia while you can.
Hello and welcome back to season 4 of Porcelain Peak. This week we got some news for Chop Talk about a certain Halloween-themed retail store and what they're doing next. Then we're going to play trivia. We're still doing Pass the Popcorn. Anthony's coming off a win. For our main discussion, we are talking about the new Daniels movie, partnered with A24 on this one for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then for Final Cut, we're talking about episodes 2 and 3 of Moon Knight. Stay tuned.
Why don't you take an axe and chop it open?
All right, well, before we get started with that news, John, Anthony, how are you guys?
I had a rough day yesterday, so I got called into jury duty.
Oh, you did have a rough day. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got to hear all about it.
So I checked the day before, because now they have it online. You don't have to call anymore, which is convenient,
Oh,
because
thank
nobody
God.
wants to fucking make phone calls anymore. And I knew at least one other person who was in the same jury pool.
Oh.
And I was the only one of that group who was in the selection pool. So it was
Oh.
groups 12 to 18. I was group 18. So I follow all of the instructions, and I wear some decent clothes, and I head down to the fucking courthouse at 9 o'clock in the morning on my day off.
So you shouldn't have wore decent clothes. You should have cut some pants off.
Yeah, I was like, what are you thinking wearing
Yeah.
decent clothes to jury duty in our town?
None of that really mattered.
Wear your hat sideways.
None of that really mattered. I got there, and I sat in the room while they droned on for 20 minutes about
They
what
have
hardship
drones there? Jury duty is so much cooler than I remember.
about like hardships and what specifically qualifies as a hardship and what can prevent you from being able to serve and all this other shit. And then they're like, all right, so if you don't have a hardship, get up and go check in, so that way you're part of the jury pool. And it was like maybe a third of the people were
Why didn't you
claiming
just
to
say you
not
had
have,
hardship?
because you have to prove that you have a hardship.
Oh.
You should have said, I got a hardship, and then,
Pointed to a dinghy.
yeah, your little dinghy.
So go through this whole process, and then they call the people with the hardships up. They all have to fucking take clipboards and write down what their fucking hardship is, and that shit takes fucking forever. So I'm sitting there doing nothing pretty much for like an hour and a half, and then they call us up to go into the courtroom, and then from there they call up a first group of like 18 people. And they start fucking like basically going through and questioning them all as to like, do you know anyone in law enforcement and all this other bullshit?
Should have just been like,
have you ever been,
can't handle the truth.
have you ever been affected by someone who was like a victim of assault, or were you ever a victim of assault? And like all these people, like they're like answering these questions and stuff like this, but I'm just like over here trying not to fucking fall asleep.
The one time that I actually had to go in, I took a book, and it was early, like yours was, and I fell asleep, and I was like, oh, "Fuck, dude, I'm gonna get stabbed in here." And I was in Stockton, so
Yeah.
Well, if they don't consider that a hardship, if I got a fucking knife sticking out of me, can I please go home or to a hospital?
I haven't had it in years, like even the paper. So I wonder if there's like a warrant out.
Yeah, I was gonna
they have to
say
be able to prove that you received it.
Oh, how? Has anyone ever proved that?
I don't know.
Anyway,
fucking they enhance the image.
But so they go through this whole process, and then they take so long that they're like, yeah, we're going to take a lunch break.
oh my god, dude. I
So,
would've lost my shit.
yeah, so I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm
Right.
in downtown Modesto. So I ended up heading back home for a little while, and then I come back, and we literally were there for like another 45 minutes. They were like, we don't want this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. Call up a new group of people, and then they were like, all right, we like it as is after those people answered their questions.
Were you in there?
No.
Oh, you got to go.
Yeah, I got to go after that, but
You'd
it
be
was
fucking slamming the gavel right now if you got selected.
so frustrating that
yeah.
they like pushed it out for a lunch for an hour and then
The least
came
they
back
could
and
have
it was
done-
like 45 minutes and then they're like, yeah, we got it selected.
The least they could have done is done it on one of your days you had to work.
Yeah, I know, right? But instead it was my day off, so I basically didn't get a day off, which was fucking awful.
That sucks. Yeah.
And it was an assault with a deadly weapon case. Apparently a guy beat up another dude with a pipe.
Well,
Oh.
crack pipe or.
No, like the lead pipe, like
Oh, that
Clue.
makes more sense. All right, man. Well,
Crazy.
How
Well,
are you?
You are the first person ever to have a bad experience with jury duty.
For sure,
So,
definitely.
I am doing awful, but for the purposes of this conversation, I am splendiferous. I did just watch *Malignant* for like the 6th time.
Shit.
And
By yourself?
No, I watched this one with a couple of our coworkers.
Yeah.
And because they hadn't seen it, and it's one of those movies where I'm like, okay, if I can see somebody's live reaction
Yeah.
like we did, because you hadn't seen it when we did the commentary, right?
Yep.
Plug. Go check out our commentary on *Malignant* on patreon.com/PorcelainPeak. But yeah, watched it, and that movie is just so much fun.
It is
It's
a
a total
barrel of fun,
blast.
yeah.
Did the people that you watched it with enjoy it?
Oh hell yeah, they were exactly the kind of crowd that I figured would be into that kind of crazy batshit stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were making guesses about what was going to happen, and I was just like, nope, my lips are sealed until the big reveal because I want to get your most legit reaction. But when the person, and I won't spoil who it is, but when a person falls through a certain ceiling and it's revealed where they were in that movie, everybody lost their goddamn minds watching it, and that's when they were like, oh shit, okay, this movie is crazy.
Yeah.
My sister used to be the kind of person that would ask me like, "Oh, who is it? What happened? What's gonna happen next?"
I hate when people do that because I'm like, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to ruin it for you?
Exactly. So I got to the point where I would just tell her. So like we were watching The Mummy Returns. Spoilers.
And you
But-
told her the mummy comes back?
Well, at one point,
He
Evie-
returns.
title.
at one point, I think Evie's getting attacked, and she's like, "What happens?" I was like, "Oh, she dies," which is true.
Yeah.
But then she gets brought back, but I didn't tell her that part. So she was like, "What the hell? Why'd you tell me?" And I was like, "Well, you fucking asked me." Yeah. So,
Hey, honesty is the best policy.
well, I'm sorry you're having a rough time. I'm sorry you had a rough day yesterday. I think we're all kind of in that like whatever boat, but at least we got to talk about a really good movie
Yeah,
this time around. Yeah.
that was something else. Really made my week. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited
then
to talk about it.
some news, because that's what we're doing here now that we chopped it up.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit Halloween has already filmed and is going to be releasing hopefully this year. Again, Spirit Halloween, the retail store, a movie starring Christopher Lloyd. And that's all the details that I have about it.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd and Rachel Lee Cook. And
Oh, shit. I love me some Rachel Lee Cook.
my joke has just been as Christopher Lloyd playing the skeleton from the
Yeah.
signs. And so I don't know, is Spirit Halloween a nationwide thing? I keep hitting my mic stand. I'm so sorry, viewers. Is it a nationwide thing? Or
As
is it...
far as I know,
I
it
thought
is.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if like it was a Wendy's Hardee's type situation where maybe they're called something different on the
Hardly
other
Wendy's.
coast.
Yeah.
Wendy's, I mean Carl's Jr. Hardee's. Yeah. Anywho,
He fucking knew what you meant, though.
yeah, we were on that fucking Baconator level. Yeah, but anyway, I think this is just a testament to how much just the aura, the mythos of Spirit Halloween. Because really, when you go into a Spirit Halloween, unless you're there right when they fucking open, good luck finding anything that you want or anything that, and you just have to sift through piles of shit on the floor.
You got to
Yeah.
find that sweet spot, because if you go too early, like we have in the past,
They don't have anything out
yet.
Yeah.
And then if you go too late, then it's it looks like a tornado ran.
And
through.
every spirit is different, so it's not like going into a Target and being like, this is probably going to be exactly the same Target as every other
Or
Target.
just a mirror image of it.
Yeah, when you go into a spirit, you're like, I have no idea what wondrous things I'm about to behold, or terrible things I'm about to behold, because there are some trashy people.
Well, on top of that, because they pick these, random like skeletons of other businesses, it could be like in an old Walgreens where that's probably about the right size, or it could be in a fucking massive like department store that like it does not fit all of it in, and they just have like fucking like fabric walls to try to keep it reined in order to not take up all of the space.
They had one down the road from us, I think, when you were still living here.
Mm-hmm.
And that place was tiny as fuck. So it made it seem like they had so much shit because it was all just crammed in there. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was weird.
So,
but yeah, it's
I'll be very
depends on the
curious
carcass.
to see how they turn a costume department store into a movie, if it's going to take place in a Spirit Halloween or what that's going to be all about.
The
They need to
horror
get-
story is the businesses that they're fucking taking over.
Yeah,
That's the real story.
They need to get Nick Letsko to write the music for it.
It-
This is the theme for Spirit
it could be like a Monster
Halloween.
House thing, but it's like the spirits taking over the buildings and transforming them into like monster houses that eat people.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's what's behind the curtain.
Oh yeah,
Oh shit! All right, other news.
cool. Percy Jackson.
Yeah, that's more fantasy, but all right.
Well, we've been going a little loosey goosey on the themes here. I'm gonna say horror, sci-fi, little fantasy, little fantasy on the side.
Smidge.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I read all the books back in the day.
And I will tie this back into sci-fi because the kid who got cast is Walter Scobell as Percy Jackson, who was in the Adam Project, which I did
Just
talk
like
about.
you said off mic that once we started talking, I would remember what the news was, and that is it. The guy that directed that, Sean Levy, I believe, he is signed on to direct Deadpool 3
I
with
know-
Ryan Reynolds. This is their third movie together because he
It was
also
Free
did
Guy and
Free
then
Guy.
and then
Yeah.
Adam Project and then wow. Well, good to know because I mean, to me that makes total sense that Ryan Reynolds would find somebody that he just totally gels with making movies and be like, okay, then you're just gonna make the next iteration of my pet project.
Yeah. So have you guys seen Adam Project?
I did.
I have
okay.
not.
How was it?
I enjoyed it. I think that it has enough of that like Amblin feel to it, and it's very much trying to go for that Amblin feel. Ryan Reynolds is of course Ryan Reynolds, but he does give a little bit. He's less like just turned up to 100, and instead they let the kid do a really really good like young Ryan Reynolds
Oh wow,
bit,
that's cool.
and it's really funny. He's really good at it, and that's why I'm excited about this news because he was like my favorite part of the movie, and it has some cool sci-fi stuff. So I would recommend checking it out if you're just in for like a middle of the road kind of heartwarming movie. Mark Ruffalo's in it. Jennifer Garner
I'm
doing
there,
doing a little 13 going on 30 reunion.
Big
Oh,
Jennifer
yeah.
Garner.
Yeah.
AKA. That's really cool. Yeah, so that's something. Deadpool 3 is supposed to be starting. They haven't even said if a lot of the cast is returning, just because now of this multiverse thing, they can basically reboot it without rebooting it,
Yeah.
essentially. So Reynolds has signed on, and then the actress that's his like landlord, the blind lady, she signed on.
Oh,
that
cool.
we know of, and then the Levy, the director, but I guess Zazie Beetz hasn't been called yet.
Oh,
As
really?
Domino, so she's not sure. So that's just a little bit of stuff that's come out in the last couple weeks. But Feige said it's still going to be R-rated, and it is going to tie into the MCU. So we'll see what happens.
At this point, I think anything's possible with the multiverse.
Multi-voice.
Did you guys? I didn't watch the trailer, but did you guys watch the new trailer for Stranger Things 4 that dropped?
No, I haven't seen shit because a few teasers have dropped since the
Yeah.
last one, and I haven't seen any.
I've only seen a couple images.
So same.
One
on
of Robert
Twitter.
Englund's character.
I don't want to know that. Did I already know that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked
we
about
talked
it.
about it
Oh.
ages ago.
I forgot.
And one of the villain. I don't know if it's Robert Englund and even more makeup, and he's playing the villain because I don't want to know anything beyond what I already know. But from what I've seen and what I've read, this is supposed to be an even more horror-centric season of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Because the kids are more adult now, they're going to be pushing the horror stuff even further because they are older. And I'm like, cool, if you're going to string us along with these now almost college-age kids, at least give us some spooky shit that can happen to them.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited. Is that supposed to drop this year, or what's the?
Yeah, it's going to be coming out in, I believe, 2 parts. One in the summer and then one in the fall, I think. Yeah, something weird like that.
Yeah, Netflix has been doing that. I know they did that with Ozarks because they wanted it to be nominated for those Golden Globes.
Yeah.
And then they releasing the second season, I think, now, so they can be nominated same season, but for the next year.
Yeah, Atlanta just came out with their, or is just coming out currently with their 3rd season, and then their 4th season is coming out this fall.
Oh, they already filmed the 4th.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
and then 4 will come out this fall, and then that's the end of the show.
Yeah, because I was reading that interview with Glover. I know this is a little bit off topic, but he was saying, like, yeah, 3 is good, but wait till you get 4. But then he also said, like, I'm done playing Earn, so I thought the 4 thing was a joke,
Yeah,
but they already filmed.
yeah,
Okay,
I think
cool,
they just filmed like
cool.
an extra long story
interesting.
arc. And then something else that I wanted to mention is we talked a lot about, and we have talked a lot about found footage and the found footage phenomenon. Well, there is a documentary called The Found Footage Phenomenon coming to Shudder in May.
It's gonna be May.
Yeah. So if you're interested in found footage stuff, I'm interested in that whole like like it says phenomenon and how that kind of overtook the world for a solid 10 fucking years or whatever. But yeah, check out Shudder for that.
Shudder.
Sponsor us.
That would be tight. That'll wrap it up for Chop Talk. Thank you for listening to that. Sorry if we rambled a little bit, but we'll go ahead and get started with that trivia.
That Christmas house of wax, the fog, piranha. It's one of those, right? Right?
So, welcome to Trivia, and in honor of the movie that we're talking about today and your reaction to it, John, here's your intro. This is the story of a John who cried a river and drowned the whole world. I don't know.
Is that your song?
It's
That's
the
my
song.
Fucking got you.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah, your rendition is probably way more beautiful than mine.
trivia, trivia.
So absolute.
Trivia,
Story of a girl.
Absolutely love her when she
trivia.
smiles. Never heard
What's
it.
the name of the band? 9
Inch Nails.
No.
9 days.
9 days. There
Yeah.
we go. Cool. And if you don't know, that's going to come up in our main discussion about Everything Everywhere All at Once. But in the meantime, we're playing Pass the Popcorn. This is the Thrills and Chills edition. We're going to keep score. I'll read to John. John will read to Anthony, and Anthony will read back to me. So how the score works is if I read the year and the genre, then they can get 5 points if they guess. Then any subsequent clue will get them 1 less point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay, let me just pull up
The scoring rubric.
Scoring rubric. Okay. John, your first question is a 1985 horror movie.
85 horror. Shit.
For 5 points.
Go ahead and give me the scene.
Okay, for 4 points, John.
4.
A scientist hacks his rival's head off with a shovel.
Why don't you take a shovel and chop it open?
Oh, shit.
Do we go cast next or quote next?
It's characters, yeah.
Okay, cast characters, whatever the fuck.
You go and give me the characters.
Okay, this is going to be Dr. Herbert West and Dr. Carl Hill.
Is it Reanimator?
That is correct.
I should have gotten it
for
from
3 points.
3 points. I wanted to be sure.
Boom, 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 boom.
Anthony, you have a 93 fantasy.
I feel like you started to go on like Phantom Menace round with that last part. Yeah. What was it again?
Yeah, what was that?
93 fantasy.
Okay.
Okay, so I was.
So there you go. Fantasy is part of Thrills and Chills
Yeah.
It all works.
for their supports. I don't think we talked about Percy Jackson at all. It's just that kid was in it.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops. Anyway.
But anyway, out of project. Man, I was still suckling on those mommy milkers in 93. Give me the first clue, please.
Your scene. A mad scientist in a wheelchair sews a torn-off arm back on his ragdoll assistant.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Is indeed The Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right. Nice job. Put you on the board, sir.
Cool. My turn to ask you a thing?
That is correct.
Cool. I remember how it works. You get a 1981 thriller.
I'm going to go ahead and take the scene.
Scene is a man uses the power of his mind to make another man's head explode at a press conference.
Scanners.
It is
You
indeed
always
Scanners.
get the scanners questions.
And I've never seen that fucking movie. I just know Einstein's like,
Yeah. I haven't seen it either. I've started it a few times, and it's one of his just like, I don't know, weirder ones. So I've just never gotten
supposed to be a
very far into it.
classic.
Yeah.
So you each got 4, I got 3. Let's move on to the next question.
All right.
Oh,
you got-
wait. Quick pause. Extra news. Boo, 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 boo. Cronenberg's got a new sci-fi movie coming out.
Oh, shit.
Didn't mention it in news. Sorry about that.
All right.
But-
Do you know what it's called?
Crimes in Time or
Grindelwald.
some shit.
Crimes of Grindel. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, it's called like Crimes in Time or Time Crimes. Or
While you look that up, John, you got a 2009 horror movie.
2009 horror movie.
Crimes of the Future.
Nice. Give me the scene, please.
A man lures a redneck zombie out of hiding by playing the tune Dueling Banjos.
That would be Zombieland.
That is correct for 4 points.
Got blisters on me fingers.
Anthony, you have a 1987 horror film.
Give me the first clue, please.
A man cuts his hand on a nail and bleeds profusely, dripping his blood onto the floor.
Hellraiser?
It is Hellraiser.
Nice job. I don't know if I would have gotten it from that clue.
Yeah, we were just recently talking in the boys chat on Instagram about how we pretty much all don't like Clive Barker or Hellraiser.
Sorry, Sarah.
Sorry, not sorry. Tone, you get a 1974 comedy.
Whoa. I'll take a scene on that.
Your scene is a blind man spills soup on an undead monster.
A blind man? Like Petey?
Pretty bird.
Spills soup on an undead monster.
Uh-huh. Doesn't it sound like an awkward situation?
Yeah. 74?
Hmm?
Ooh. All right. I guess give me the green clue. The characters are cast or whatever the fuck.
I think this might give it away.
Gene Wilder as Dr. Frankenstein. Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher? Blocker?
Young Frankenstein.
It is indeed Young Frankenstein.
You know, I've actually never seen it, so that probably makes sense.
Damn, that movie is so good. Especially if you've seen the Universal Frankenstein movies. I mean, it's
I've seen the Putting on the Ritz scene.
Putting on the Ritz.
classic.
Yeah. All right.
I think it's a way better Mel Brooks movie than Spaceballs. I think that's aged like milk, and fucking Young Frankenstein is forever a classic.
Yep.
It's Tilda Swinton. It's aged like Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
You know, she has... Never mind. 3 nipples. She's got that same as Marky Mark.
I saw a tweet today where this guy or somebody was
She's
like,
got a real funky punch.
Well, he's got the funky bunch.
the tweet was, I call my nipples the Godfather because nobody wants to see the third one.
That's pretty good. See, I'm glad I said it because I got that out of it. John, you got a 2006 horror movie. And if I didn't mention it, Anthony's in the lead with 8, and John and I are tied at 7.
You said 2006 horror?
Yes.
Go ahead and give me the scene.
A bloated waitress explodes, spewing out thousands of alien slugs. In case you don't know.
I knew.
Now you know.
Now I know. No.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sorry. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
And none of the other clues are going to help me here. I'm between 2 names.
Better than Ferns, you know what I'm saying?
It's either Slither or Splinter. I don't remember what the name is, though. It's the James Gunn one. I'm pretty sure.
I can neither confirm nor deny that, John.
His lips are sealed.
Is it Splinter?
Ooh, it's
Slither. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
A bummer.
I've never seen it.
You never seen
I thought we watched it for the show.
Slither?
No.
Oh, I guess I just watched it.
Yeah.
For the show.
I think we've watched it for some reason. Yeah, Slither is great. And you like James Gunn, right?
Yeah.
You're a fan of Gunn?
Mm-hmm. Big fan of Gunn. Anthony, you have a 91 thriller.
Pressure's on, boy.
Yeah, I'm going to take the first clue.
A killer ties himself to the undercarriage of a car with a belt.
Whoa. Let me get a little peek.
Cape Fear!
It is Cape Fear.
Oh, nice. I wouldn't have got that. Good for you.
Thanks. It's one of my favorite De Niro performances.
Same.
I think.
So
Max Cady.
creepy,
Cape Fear.
though. Oh.
Yeah. And I hadn't seen it until like last year. Tone, you have a 1985 horror film.
I'm not taking any chances now with the game so tight. So I
And
don't have...
85 is like a packed year for this genre, so.
I'll take the scene, please, sir.
The scene is a pet zombie uses a gun to shoot a military officer.
A pet zombie? Oh, fuck.
From 1985.
Come on, baby. Neck's getting a little long over here. Come on, baby.
Day of the Dead.
Ooh, yeah. See, it's the classic. Like, well, you got it correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. What guy?
I'll let you off the hook there. I was gonna say it's the classic. Okay, I know that it's of the dead, but what time of day?
I know, yeah. But then I was like the mall because I think that one has Bub.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we got there. Cool. So at the end of that round, John's still sitting at 7, Anthony's at 12, and I am at 11. And John,
coming in
you
hot.
got a 1996 fantasy.
96 fantasy? I don't know. Scene?
Okay. A teenage girl dreams 3 of her friends come into her bedroom and try to strangle her.
Sounds like my 1996 fantasy.
I mean, considering the cast, you know what I'm saying?
This doesn't sound familiar.
Fantasy might be a little off.
Little
I would
off, I
say.
think,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would definitely say horror.
Strangle?
Yeah, dig into your horror well.
A teenage girl dreams 3 of her friends come into her bedroom and try to strangle her.
Go ahead and give me the characters.
Okay, newcomer Sarah Bailey, and witches Bonnie,
Oh.
Nancy, and Rochelle.
The Craft?
That is correct, sir. Good
Macaroni and
job.
cheese.
Macaroni and cheese.
For 3 points.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And then you have a 1978 horror.
He wants it. He wants to do it. Does he risk it all?
Risk it for the biscuit.
You only get one chance,
One shot.
one opportunity.
Halloween.
It's not. It's Dawn of the Dead. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Oh no!
I took it. That
Took-
sucks.
Took the shot.
What was it?
Dawn of the Dead.
That was that.
78. Yeah.
Wow.
See, that's why I always got to take that first clue. I'm never going to trust myself again.
See, okay, all right, all
All
right,
right.
all right. I'm gonna play it safe.
Let's keep moving so I don't start crying. Tone. 1996 sci-fi film.
Ooh, okay.
Science fiction.
I will take the scene, please, sir.
A herd of flaming cows stampedes down a hill.
Flaming cows. Oh, okay. Now, do I want to risk it? Because I think I know, but I'm not 100.
For the biscuit. See, I'm doing the
Um,
same thing so you fuck up just like I did.
I know. I'm going to go ahead and take the next one. The green one. The cast or characters.
Jack Nicholson as the U.S. President, Professor Donald Kessler.
Is that Mars Attacks?
It is Mars Attacks.
Maz attacks.
That's what I thought, but I don't know it well enough to know if they were cows, but that seems silly enough.
You thought. You just weren't sure on the bovine variety.
The Bovinian
All right, so
viridity.
3 for me?
Yep.
Okay. Then that puts John at 10, Anthony at 12, and I am at 14. So
Still a tight game.
Still tight, still tight. Here we go with a 2008 horror movie, John.
2008 horror. Go ahead and give me the scene.
Just think about your answer, okay? A terrified woman, seen only through a night vision camera, is dragged away into darkness.
Okay, so
No,
Wreck
no cheese involved.
Wreck is from 2007, I believe. So I'm going to say Quarantine.
That is correct. Good
Yeah.
call.
Whew.
And now that puts you at 14. See? Anyone's game.
Yeah, anyone's game. 2005 Fantasy Anthony. Fantasy Anthony. That's a terrible nickname.
It's my OnlyFans name.
Fantasy Anthony.
Fantasy Anthony. Yeah, I'm not going to take another risk. Give me that first clue.
What was the year again? I'm sorry.
2005.
Okay.
A skeleton performs a song and dance routine in a bar.
Corpse Bride?
It is indeed Corpse Bride.
That's a pretty good clue for that because you wouldn't. That doesn't sound like a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean-
another
Corpse Bride's only sort of a kid's movie.
Well, it's animated, I guess.
Depends on how
in that regard. So.
it depends on how terrified you are of marriage.
So that's 4 points for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Read the fucking shit.
Tone, you got a 1999 thriller.
I'll take that scene.
A child claims to see the ghosts of hanged prisoners at his school.
I will say The Sixth Sense.
Oh, sorry, it's The Fifth Element.
Oh.
No, yeah, it is The Sixth Sense. You got it.
All right. At the end of that round, John is at 14, Anthony is at 16, and I am at a gentleman's 18. And we're moving into the last round. John, you got a 1956 monster movie.
Balls out. This is the last round. You got to just go for it.
Godzilla.
That is correct for 5 points.
There you go. Wish I hadn't encouraged you so much.
And you take the lead.
Temporarily.
Anthony,
you have a 1931 monster movie.
I can't just shoot in the dark on this one, I don't think.
you only need 3 points. And then if I really fuck it up, you guys are tied. But if you get 4 points, you're automatically in second place at the least.
See, this is where I have to start getting all meta and thinking, okay, but how likely is it that you'll guess yours in the amount of points it'll take you to win?
You're the only one that would know that answer.
Yeah. I'm sure the audience is just shivering with anticipation. Yeah, give me that first clue.
Thunder rolls and sparks fly from lab equipment as a scientist stands beside a corpse.
Frankenstein.
It is Frankenstein.
Well, I'm glad that I didn't shoot in the dark because I was going to say Dracula. So I'm really glad that I did not make another big fuck up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that one's probably the most legit to not just let her rip.
Yeah.
All right. Put you in the lead.
Tone, you have a 1995 horror film.
I'm going to take that scene, baby.
A detective investigates an obese man who apparently ate himself to death.
7.
It is 7.
For 4 points for me.
It's actually pronounced SE7EN.
C7N. All right. Well, then that puts John at 19, Anthony at 20, and me at 22. And I take the crown back.
I feel like I'm back at the fucking Oscars, bro.
I know, right?
Just a hair.
It's a tight
Just a
room.
hair.
Hey, I feel like I'm not at the Oscars. I'm at least fucking involved.
And nobody got hit, so it's all good.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for trivia this week. If you are interested in more trivia, even some that we write ourselves, John's going to tell you how you can get that straight to you every week.
So over on patreon.com/Porcelain Peak, you can get hours and hours of additional bonus content, like our previously mentioned trivia bonus episodes that we do every single week, where we give each other quizzes that either we write or we find on the internet in order to test our mettle and have a fucking good time. My quiz was about A24. Your quiz
was poorly described plots.
and
Daniels. Name those famous Daniels.
All were a blast this week.
yeah, they were a great time. If you're on Patreon, you can enjoy those regularly scheduled on Mondays and also with video similar to what you're potentially watching right now on YouTube. For $10 a month, you can get our Slash to Piece Theater commentary tracks, which we do every single month. This month, we're going to be doing Little Nicky. And I want to say there's like 18 of those motherfuckers now? We out here dropping...
Oh, I thought you were talking
tracks.
about Little Nicky movies, like 18 sequels.
Dude, for a second, I was like, 18 what? Where's he going?
We've got a solid number of commentary tracks that
We're
you will
about to
get
crack that 20, baby.
Yeah, and you'll have the entire backlog that you can go back so you can hear us talk over the top of movies and potentially, in most cases, make them better because we watch some stinkers in that group. And then on top of that, you can also get a print that is designed by Anthony Silva, the graphic designer extraordinaire, every single month. Last month, we had some really cool ones. We had a Batman one, and we had a Chili, Sawyer, Warhol, Texas Chainsaw Massacre mashup.
Stew. It was a stew. And yeah, I think this month, because I'm a little bit creatively drained, I'm just gonna Xerox my ass cheeks and just have that be the print.
And when you do it, when we submit it, can you do it so that it fits to the iPhone screen, so it's not a square? So that I want the whole ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
But
the
make-
asshole or the whole ass?
Yes.
So make sure you
Okay.
spread the thighs a little bit so you can get
Yeah.
your nuts in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting into your personal taste when it comes to what you
Whoa,
do in your
dude.
alone time.
Whoa. No nuts involved, only ass.
I'm just talking about my own glutes here, okay? And what I choose to do with them on company time.
John, what can you get for $20?
For $20 a month, you can join our producer tier, where you get early access to our episodes. You get a shirt every 6 months. You get the ability to help us come up with ideas for the show, and you get an ad-free version of this, which you get for any Patreon tier for whatever date it's released. You will get an ad-free version. So the ad that is upcoming right now, you will not hear on Patreon.
Yes, so just a quick segue. We're going to go and take a little break, and you're going to hear some ads, and we'll be right back.
Mud butt.
Been there.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Tone, what's that you're drinking?
Oh, this is a nice tall mug full of mud water.
What in the Sam Hain? Sam Hain is Mudwater.
Mudwater is an all-natural coffee alternative that has immune benefits and helps with sustained focus without the jitters and crash of coffee.
What's in it? What's it taste like? What's the deal?
It's made from chai, cacao, reishi, cinnamon, and more, and tastes like a chocolatey chai.
How often do you drink it?
I personally use it every day, and as you creeps know, I'm pretty sensitive to caffeine.
I once saw you look at an energy drink and you stayed up all night.
That's a true story. But I can have mud water in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the early evening without feeling anxious, weird, or having trouble sleeping.
Whether you're running around Crystal Lake, pulling a blanket over your eyes, or stressing on which episode of Porcelain Peak to listen to next, Mudwater has your back when the going gets tough.
As Tone mentioned, Mudwater contains reishi, which has been used in Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years and nicknamed the mushroom of immortality. As a key ingredient in Mudwater, reishi will give you added support for your capacity to handle stress while supporting a healthy immune response.
Check out our affiliate link in the show notes to get Mudwater, creamer, sweetener, even a frother if you're feeling froggy, or go for the starter kit like I did, which includes a killer recipe booklet.
That's mudwtr.com, or use the link in our show notes to help out your favorite podcasters.
Hey, you want to see something really scary?
This week for our main discussion, we are talking about the new A24 movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So, if you have not seen it yet, this is going to contain spoilers. If that's something that bothers you, then you might want to skip ahead to Moon Knight or go check out this fucking movie because it's pretty good. A little spoiler for my review on it.
Yeah, I was going to say just real quick, if you can't listen to this because you haven't seen the movie yet, yeah, definitely race to the theater to see it.
Absolutely.
I think most people are saying the same thing about it. So if you haven't already heard about this movie, now you fucking have. Bye. All right.
Anthony's going to give you guys a little background.
Yeah, so this film is directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. So I did get it correct earlier.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's how you pronounce that.
Yeah, Scheinert, I believe.
Scheinert Wig Company.
The Daniels, which if you don't know about them, they also directed Swiss Army Man from 2016.
I was going to say 16. Yeah, they also did the Manchester Orchestra video for Simple Math, which is
And for the Alien.
a fucking dope-ass video. So even if you don't care about the music, you can mute it, and it's still fucking tight.
Yeah, love that they have a connection to my favorite band, and I think one of our favorite bands
Yeah,
together,
definitely.
collectively. And this cast is pretty stacked with some amazing actors. First up, we have Michelle Yeoh, who is, I think, most recently I saw her in Shang-Chi. So I thought it was cool that while they are going into the multiverse with Marvel, she's off doing her own, in my opinion, better multiverse movie. But Michelle Yeoh is very well known. I think a lot of people were excited to see her in this. Then we have Ki-Hugh Kwan, who plays Waymond. Michelle Yeoh's character is Evelyn. Waymond, we did not realize until after the movie that he is the actor who played Data and Short Round from The Goonies and Indiana Jones.
I feel like I recognized him during it, but I wasn't familiar enough to
Immediately
know.
when I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that's why his delivery felt so familiar to me, like the way he talked, especially when he's like really quickly trying to give information.
Yeah.
It felt very like Short Round. Stephanie Sue, who played Joy, the daughter in the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, the legend, playing... Her character doesn't have a name. It just...
Deirdre.
Deirdre?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. For some reason here it just says a villainous burr...
Her name is Deirdre Bobeardra.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Oh, that's so fucking funny.
James Hong as the Godfather Gong Gong, also a very famous actor. Jenny Slate as Big Nose, and Harry Shum Jr. as Chad.
Yeah, and then Tally Metal as Becky, I think.
Becky, yeah. So,
Her girlfriend, I think.
yeah.
But yeah, so basically, to give kind of just a quick rundown of the plot, this movie involves a family who owns a laundromat and is trying to do their taxes because they've been audited by the IRS.
Which made it feel like a horror movie immediately to me.
Yeah, I know, right? And then on top of that, they're also trying to throw together a party. So during this process, they go to the IRS to deal with the audit. And during this process, Evelyn is then basically pulled away by a different version of Waymond, who takes over this version of Waymond's body and is like, hey, the multiverse exists. You're going to have to fight in order to help save basically all of the multiverse.
Yeah, you're the chosen one. Shit's going down. We need you.
There's a big bad coming and destroying people from the multiverses, so we need your help.
But yeah, so essentially she ends up deciding to try out what all this multiverse stuff is, and hilarity and heartwarming moments and sad moments all ensue. I feel like I ran the entire gamut of emotions during this entire film. But with, like I said, as far as we can go without spoilers is basically up to this point, because everything else from here, like I said, it is hard to get through without spoiling everything.
Yeah, and if you're listening now and you don't want spoilers and you're going to skip ahead at this point, I will just say that we do all recommend it.
Yeah.
And so if that is something that you're wondering if we liked it or not before you skip ahead, then go see it. It's definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
My Roger and my Ebert are up.
All right, so let's talk about some of the stuff that most of the stuff that we liked. I think it's going to be hard pressed for us to find negatives with this movie, honestly.
Yeah, I don't have any.
But I think starting off, the cast, and I don't know who the director was. Actually, I think it's the person that did the casting for this has a book on A24 about casting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because she did some other movies that we really liked. But this cast, honestly, is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I
didn't feel like there was a wink link anywhere.
Yeah, all the main characters are fantastic. Evelyn especially is brilliant.
Yes.
And
treasure.
I was worried that Jamie Lee Curtis was going to kind of steal the show, and she really doesn't. They
use her sparingly enough.
She is served the perfect amount.
Yeah, she goes from secondary to maybe tertiary, where she's there for a reason and she fits that role very well, but she doesn't overstay her welcome in any way.
Yeah, because I thought originally she was going to be like the big bad
So
of
did
the
I.
movie, and I was like, that's cool, except in this movie where you're giving so much attention to this Asian cast, to have someone like Jamie Lee Curtis to have stolen more of the show than she did, felt like it would have been a little unfair. So I was happy that we got to see everybody else shine, and they really shine. Everybody gets their own little spotlight, even down to Gong Gong, the grandpa, gets scenes where he's also incredible, like switching between acts, speaking English and speaking Chinese and everything. But yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with you. The cast is great.
Yeah, and then Jenny Slate, who has a very strong personality and a lot of stuff she's in, could have easily been a distraction in this movie. And again, they played her with just the right amount, and I thought she was great in this as well.
When her dog gets fucking swung around and threw
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's when I was
like, I don't
okay.
know how I feel about this, but it's great.
Well, at that point, I felt like the movie, I was like, okay, this is the tone we're going for, which is just like, this is not based really in any sort of reality. Like the movie, even before you get to the multiverse stuff, as soon as they enter that IRS building, the movie feels like it's suddenly gone into a parallel universe already because of the way that like Jamie Lee Curtis is acting, and it just feels weird already, and that's probably just because the Daniels have a weird, interesting way of shooting things, and that's the other thing that immediately stood out to me, because we open with that awesome mirror shot that has the three family members in it, and then it zooms in, and as it zooms in, instead of us like turning around and seeing the reflection, we go through the mirror into the laundromat, which also is reminiscent of the laundry machines.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just like a gorgeous opening scene, and then pretty much the way all of this is shot, you don't know going into something like this after seeing maybe Swiss Army Man how the action is going to turn out in this. And I thought that some of the shit that they did with, especially when Waymond's fighting with his fanny pack, and the way the camera's like whipping around and doing crazy shit, it reminded me almost of like Kingsman in the way that the action is shot, because it's so over the top and boisterous and everything is so exaggerated.
They do a lot. I mean, they include a lot of different genres in this movie. Like you already mentioned, action. We get sci-fi, obviously.
Comedy.
We get tons of comedy. Yeah, we get coming of age.
Drama.
To an extent, very
Pixar.
much drama. Yeah, not so much horror, but there's parts of it where you can see like glimpses of that. Maybe they wanted to push it, but then decided not to. So that was really great. But yeah, to talk a little bit more on the cast, I think that the main characters, they all and almost everybody gets a little bit of an arc, and I think that that's where the writing really succeeds in this movie, is that no one stays static throughout the whole thing. Everyone kind of has a little bit of an arc to them, which I mean, it's not a ton of people, but to give everybody a little bit something is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved that because it kind of helped keep you grounded in what the mission was throughout the movie when everything else was getting so confusing. It was like, okay, at the heart of this, it's about the relationship between her husband, and her daughter.
It's not about the multiverse.
Yeah, it's not about the multiverse. And so while you're watching all this crazy shit happen, at least I was in my mind going, okay, so how is this going to provide for their arc, to whether she decides that she wants to separate from Waymond and go her own way and live her own life, or if this experience is going to make her reunite with him. I did feel like the trailer was a little bit spoilery because it did have the line where she's like standing in the parking lot with the daughter and she says like, oh, there's nowhere else I'd rather be but with you or whatever. And so I knew that was kind of where we were headed, was bringing the family together.
Yeah, I mean,
through the multiverse.
Yeah, I only watched the trailer once, and I did that on purpose. I was like, I don't want to sit here and start trying to pick this apart. I watched it very early on, and then I quickly forgot literally everything about what the trailer was. And the moments of levity throughout this, the hot dog finger universe,
and the
is
fact that they know that that's hysterical, so they go back to it a bunch of times throughout the movie,
but they don't overdo it.
Well, and they just keep doing new things with it, where it's like, oh, now this time you're seeing that they use their toes to play piano and do things, and like.
But they also play it really serious, and so I think that juxtaposition between the idea and the way that it's shot is so fucking funny. And so it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous because we have hot dog fingers, but also some of those scenes are super heartwarming and sad.
Yeah.
Well, the Pixar obvious the Ratatouille thing.
Oh,
yes,
right.
The
so
raccoon.
Good. So good.
So amazing. And they take all of that stuff, and where I thought we were just going to get like a little glimpse into each of these multiverses, they even give like each of the multiverses an arc.
Yeah.
So you get an arc with the Ratatouille thing, like to
The Rocks.
The Rocks have an arc.
The Rocks was one of the most heartwarming parts of the fucking movie.
Just two rocks with subtitles. They did everything in this movie to try to be like, okay, what's a convention of movie making? Oh, the end credits usually come at the end. We're going to put them right in the middle and do like an end credit scene right there, which I knew was obviously a joke because there hadn't been enough time. But people around me were definitely like, what?
Dude,
What's
no,
going
I
on?
was, because I was like, wait, what the fuck? We only got part one, because it is split into three parts?
Yeah.
4 parts?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
That makes sense. And so I was like, wait, what? But I guess that's an homage to another movie that does that. And so they kind of stole that idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was like, this is crazy.
But
And
you were saying like...
I had people in my theater,
Okay.
that
Fine.
when it
Feelings
was
aren't
in the rocks and we were getting these emotional scenes, were like snickering and laughing, and I couldn't tell if they were laughing at like what was happening or if they were just having their own conversation. So I was like, dude, I'm trying to feel this, because part of the experience is getting encapsulated and really trying to feel the emotions that Daniels were trying to create.
Yeah, you want to be in a glass case of emotion.
Exactly, yeah. So I was getting a little bit mad, and I was like, I'm trying to feel these fucking rocks.
I thought our audience was pretty good,
Which we
did not know we were in the same screening of the movie until after we were out of the movie theater and texting each other.
Yeah.
And you sat pretty much right in front of me because I was in row D.
Oh yeah, so,
right in the middle.
Yeah, we were in C at the very
That's
off
so
to the left.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, because my whole row was packed with people right up next to me.
Oh, wow.
I was like this, and I wasn't even looking at the people next to me. I was just like, cool, zone in and focus on this so you don't freak out about the fact that you're sitting elbow to elbow with people here in this movie theater.
What about for you? What are some of the things that really stood out to you as far as cast or some of the universes?
So I felt like the relationships were super believable, and I think that those are what truly grounds the story, because obviously they push all of these things out to the ridiculous corners of the world, almost Scott Pilgrim-esque, where everything kind of has that like level of sarcasm and humor to it that you have to unpack, but the core three are the ones that really drag everything back down to reality. in a way that I found super refreshing. And when they were having real serious moments, sometimes it was like touching, sometimes it was like devastating. I cried several times throughout the film. I was like super invested, and just
Yeah, no, we could all hear it was embarrassing.
yeah, just
He went out to the front desk and was like, hey, there's an old lady crying a few rows over. And then they're like, excuse me, sir. Can you shut up?
Somebody's whale sounds are playing in the theater.
But yeah, like I said, I was super impacted, and I felt like especially the character of Evelyn, I was able to, surprisingly for it being like an older Asian woman, I was able to fully like put myself in that character's shoes.
I actually read that they had started writing it with a male character as the lead, and then ended up changing all the genders for everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So a couple points that I wanted to just double back on very quickly is, first of all, we'll just go right back to what you were saying about those main three actors. The range that they have to show in this movie, because Evelyn is not just our Evelyn, she's also all of the other Evelyns that we see, and they all go through their own arcs. So like the chef Evelyn and the hot dog hand Evelyn
and the actor
Evelyn, they all go through these arcs that relate back to thoughts and feelings that our main Evelyn is having. Then on top of that, you have Wayman, who is playing, Alpha Wayman, and he's playing her husband, Wayman.
Yeah.
And so he has to just on the spot flip back and forth. And he's the first one to start doing that in the movie, when he just immediately is like, boom, with the umbrella and starts talking to her. And then the daughter, I thought was incredible, being able to go from this very kind of insecure, quieter character to being a pretty intimidating villain. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's very goofy looking and very, Daniels, but I loved her. I thought that she was great and like I said, intimidating, and you kind of want to know what the fuck is going on with her and the everything bagel.
Yeah.
When we first get to see, and what's the villain? I think it's like Jobu or something like that.
Yeah.
When that, we don't know who it is yet, so we get this kind of little bit of mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It starts walking up. I thought it was going to be Jenny Slate for a little bit, and especially when they show her fingers, I was like, okay, I mean, I don't know anything about Jenny Slate's fingers, but I was like, that seems like it could be, because she is a known enough actress that it would make sense. And so I was like, ooh, all right. But then they reveal it pretty quickly that it's the daughter, which I thought was cool, because we don't have to wait too long, and it's like, here, now we're going to build this relationship. And so that reveal for me really worked.
Yeah, and I felt like all performances of the Joy character were fantastic, and I felt like I went through similar things, as far as like, being in that like angsty teenage phase or that young adult phase. Yeah, where you felt like you didn't relate as well to your parents, but you still also loved them and only understood them because they were the people who you spent the most time with. So it was a hard watch in that way, just because I related with so many of the characters, Waymond as, being a husband, and being, someone who's, had to go through the process of, learning how to communicate with somebody over the course of several years. It is something where that is a skill, and that's something that needs to be sharpened, because otherwise you'll be dull and you won't be entertaining, and the relationship won't foster from there. As far as like trying to find your place in the sun, Evelyn is the perfect example of that. A jack of all trades and a master of none, who just wanted to find the thing that she was good at, and it took a multiverse war to achieve that. And then obviously, like I said, Joy as somebody who desperately wants the acceptance and the companionship of their parents, but is in a place where she doesn't feel like she understands how to do that. I mean, all of those things I found super impactful. Like I said, I cried for scenes from all of them. I laughed hysterically at scenes from all of them. They had such great chemistry.
The main three.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it felt like a family.
Yeah, it's definitely believable that they're married and that they're going through problems. Another thing that you kind of touched on that I wanted to go back to is it the thing that really stuck out for me, and that's kind of what this movie is about, for Evelyn at least, is, did I make the right choices? Is this the right path? And that comes up obviously throughout the whole movie because we get to see what her other paths could have been like.
Yeah, she gets that that opportunity that everyone wishes they had, where they could go back and see, like, ooh, if I had made this other choice, how would my life turn out? She gets to step into those shoes and see how it would turn out, and comes to the heartwarming realization at the end that this world with her family in this reality is where she wants to be, which is just. I would have cried if I had been alone, but I was literally squeezed next to two giant men. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to be crying for different reasons.
Yeah, some other references. Obviously, we get like a Terminator or not Terminator, but like an Alien reference with the mech suit that the grandfather is in. And
2001.
2001, one of the best.
Man, I lost my shit in the theater when that happened. I was laughing so hard.
Funny. And then I believe when she's laying down on the couch, what she says is from Die Hard, one of the Die Hards, where she's like, "Come on, let's hang out. We're having a chat." I'm pretty sure that's like a John McClane.
Yeah, that's when he's crawling through the.
Yeah. Obviously modified for this, but I love that scene because we get to see how sinister she is, but then also kind of just how goofy she is. It almost is like a Freddy villain for a split second. And I loved that a lot. And then Wayman walked in and was like, okay, because he's just kind of oblivious in this universe. That was fun.
Yeah, and that reminded me of Swiss Army Man, where they did a lot of like referencing their favorite movies and things like that, and they're obviously inspired by a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, well, and along those same lines, Swiss Army Man features a lot of music, right? We get Cotton Eye Joe, we get Jurassic Park, and then in this, we get Story of a Girl.
Yeah, like multiverse versions. Of Story of a Girl.
Yeah, so at first they speak it, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? Which is hilarious, and then we later found out that they did that on accident.
Oh, really? Because I didn't read the article when I sent it to you.
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to answer your question of like, yeah, there is an article about this.
Yeah. So he was trying to think of lines for this scene, and wrote that, and I was like, man, that sounds familiar, but I can't remember what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, we'll leave this here as a placeholder until we figure out something better. And then as the movie progressed and they figured out what it was, they were like, oh, this song kind of fits perfectly for what this movie is about.
Yeah.
And so they left it, and I guess even on day of shooting, they were like, should we pull this? Should we change this? And they didn't tell Wayman that it was a song, so that he didn't have any kind of cadence to it. So he just
didn't try to sing it. Yeah.
Which is great. So then this song is spoken. We get to hear a version of it. I think they do a country version of it. They do a chef version of it. What were some of the other ones?
I just know, like, I was
like 3 or 4.
tripping because I was like, I know I keep hearing the beats of that song, but I don't know what versions they're playing, and like because they're doing so many, I was like, hey, I swear to God this is here. And because you had seen the movie earlier and I didn't realize, you sent that song to us in text messages, and I thought that you had, it was like a huge coincidence. I didn't realize that you were doing it.
When I was watching it, it was in my, like, I had it and I was like, and I could not think of what the fucking song was, and so I just kept saying the lines from the movie over and over, and I kept getting it mixed up. And so finally when I got out, it just clicked, and I was like, oh, it's fucking Story of a Girl or whatever. And so I sent it to you so that when it came up, you wouldn't have that similar problem.
Yeah.
But without any context.
Yeah, I appreciated it because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't really remember the other score too much. That was kind of my main thing. I don't even remember if there was a score.
Yeah, I mean, I could see with all of the visual stuff and all of this, because I mean, really, I was thinking during this movie, Edgar Wright, eat your fucking heart out, because we were impressed by the little bit of like people switching with other people and during the dance scene in Last Night in Soho and that kind of stuff, and that's just this entire fucking movie. Like,
yeah,
almost every shot is shifting and somebody has a costume change, or suddenly they're in a different reality, or something's off, and I can't even imagine how complicated it must have been to try to put all of this together. And they somehow make this one like IRS building feel like it's the fucking raid or something like that, you know, and it's massive. And so I thought that was really impressive, and they're able to make the multiverse places feel like there's a much bigger budget than there probably really was for the movie.
Yeah, it makes everything feel different and unique without going over the top. Nothing feels ridiculous save for the rocks and the hot dog fingers. The glizzy hands
and the raccoon.
And the dildo fight.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the dildo fight.
That shit was funny. I mean, like I said, this movie it times everything so perfectly. It hits you with something heartwarming. It hits you with something devastating. It hits you with something fucking hysterical, and it doesn't overstay its welcome and then moves on to the next thing.
Wait.
And it interplays them in ways that I wouldn't have thought were possible in cinema.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point too, because part of what happens with the interdimensional shift or whatever is everyone's not necessarily going into that universe. She's pulling skills from her version in that universe.
But she's also getting lost in that
Right.
timeline.
But it makes
partially.
sense where it's like everything's combining and swirling, like you were saying,
Yeah.
because she's able to pull from everything at the same, everything everywhere.
Yeah.
all at
Oh,
once.
and they had the whole weird thing where it's like, in order for you to jump to another verse,
you
you
have
have
to
to
do a
do
weird
like the
thing.
least likely thing that you would do in that situation.
The butt plug trophies.
I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Is that a fucking butt plug?"
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah.
they were on the desk, I was like, "Oh,
That's a butt
go-"
plug.
I mean, I saw Swiss Army Man. I know they don't give a rat's ass about ass, but yeah.
The
and then
jumping through the scene to try to land
as
directly
soon
on
as,
it.
as soon as the people in the movie realized what was about to happen, and then the audience realized what was about to happen, people were like, "Oh no!" And then when they're fighting both with just fucking both dudes just have shit hanging out of their asses, like.
It was pretty funny. But I would say between that scene that we just talked about and then the dildo scene, that honestly is my only complaint of the movie that I can think of, is that some stuff, although funny, and it worked at the time, doesn't always enhance the movie. It doesn't really serve a purpose in any way, except to, at times, to be a shock value, I think. And so it doesn't push the movie forward. Like, yeah, you got to laugh out of it here and there, but then I was like, okay, like, what's the point of it? And there's not really any except to give you that kind of.
It almost feels like it's just like on brand for them to have some of that kind of stuff in there
Yeah.
because of their reputation after Swiss Army Man. And
I
all
think the
that.
levity adds value for me. Just to, like I said, coming up for air in
to make what
tense
would be
moment.
a normal fight scene into something a lot more interesting to
Yeah.
look at. I
It doesn't
guess,
look-
for
yeah, it
lack
doesn't-
of a
it-
better phrase.
You can't say you've seen any other fight scene like either of those, save for maybe, was it Sorority Boys?
Sorority Boys, yeah.
Where
the
they
dildo
have the
fight.
fucking like the 3-foot long dildos that they use like lightsabers. Yeah.
Save for that. But yeah, so I mean, if we want to talk a little bit more about that, was there anything about this movie that really just did not work for either of you guys? Because we've just been.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't think of anything, which is very strange for me. And
It's crazy, right? Like, I was trying to think of stuff like, what didn't I like? What didn't I like? I mean, the cinematography's great. Like, everything just works.
The
Yeah,
shot,
and-
like the shots where she like it's just like her face, and then she's like connecting all of the multiverse, and it's like different scenes in the background and like things about her outfit are changing. It's just like changing
and the frame
so quickly.
and the aspect ratio is
Yeah.
changing too.
Oh, such a fucking cool effect. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in any other movie.
Yeah, it's just I love Daniels, and I can't really think of any problems that I have really with either of the films of theirs that I've seen so far. So
What
that
about
probably
you?
spoils what my score for this is going to be. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, I not only could I not think of one, I don't think I'd want to. I could have. It's almost a 2.5 hour long film, and I could have sat through it a second and third time there in the
ignorance
theater.
is bliss.
Yeah,
What's Michael Caine say in Dark Knight? He's like, when that time comes, sir, I won't want to. Right? Something like that. Right? Well, I did tell you, didn't I? Shit like that.
Ruby the size of a tangerine.
I won't bury another member of the Wang family.
The Wang family.
Everything everywhere. That's pretty good. All right. Well, then do we want to get into ratings or anything else that we want to talk about this movie? It's like,
I mean, I think that it's a movie we could probably go on for another hour about, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head without going into like, oh, I just loved how the raccoon looked on the dude's head and like that bit and them doing that,
I think it's when it comes down to it, it really is about familial relationships, and we get to see that develop, and how just because something is good doesn't mean it's always fixed.
Oh, that does bring me to a point that I wanted to say earlier, and this is probably a good way to kind of wrap it all up, is that the Pixar comparison, like them having the Pixar reference in this, to me felt very smart and accurate to like the kind of storytelling they do, because much like Pixar's more modern films where they're tackling really adult and sometimes very existential issues, but they're doing it in a way that a kid could watch and still have fun with. I'm not saying that these movies are totally like kid friendly, but
They have a certain like childlike wonder and whimsy to them.
there's whimsy and there's wonder, and it feels like you're watching almost a fairy tale where you're not sure what's real and what's not, but you know that you're learning something from it.
Yeah.
And so it takes these really heavy things about, in Swiss Army Man, about feeling suicidal, feeling alone in the world, and also feeling unrequited love, like all these big things from that movie, and then obviously everything we talked about from Everything Everywhere. They're able to take these really heavy subjects and make it just an absolute blast to learn the lesson that they're trying to teach you.
Yeah.
And I wasn't bored at any point, so we
Yeah.
want to rate it out of 5 googly eyes.
We could do googly eyes, or we could do bagels that contain all of the multiverse.
I put everything on a bagel.
Oh my god! And it's little shit like that, man. That's this movie is very surprising. I'm super excited about it. I will say, out of 5 googly eyes, I will give this movie a 4.5 googly eyes, because of what I mentioned earlier about how it's not always in service of the movie or the plot itself. But also, I think that I would really want to watch it again before I was like 5. You know what I mean? Because I want to make sure that it's not just my excitement, because I was fucking stoked.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can make you really like a movie, because I think I liked Transformers 2 the first time I watched it. So
Wow.
not that these
I can't-
movies are in the same league.
I was about
right?
to say, I would say one of those is not a movie by comparison.
But that's me. Yeah, I'll give it 4.5 googly eyes.
Yeah. So for me, it's a 5. This I said it when I came out of the theater. I was like, this might be a top 10 film of all time for me. It did everything I wanted it to, including so much more. Couldn't have imagined it being different. If I could break the scoring rubric and give it a higher score, I would.
Nice.
Cool. I mean, you can do whatever you want, man. But
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that we keep.
In whatever
our
universe,
rules.
you can make whatever you want.
yeah, I mean, in a parallel, maybe better universe, maybe I'm not even doing this show with you guys.
Better?
I mean, in a parallel universe,
Yeah, he's
a
like, I'm
neutral
de-
parallel universe.
He's like, I'm definitely not a movie star.
Yeah, hanging out with Joe Rogan, blazing and talking about the multiverse.
Give us your score.
Oh, yeah, that's a 5.
Yeah.
You heard me just rave about it for what, like 45 minutes, half an hour. Yeah, this movie is awesome, and the real question for me is whether I like this or Swiss Army Man more. And it's going to be such a fucking difficult decision for me. I need to go back and rewatch Swiss Army Man, because it's been about a year since the last time I watched it. And that's like a yearly watch for me. And as soon as this becomes available on any sort of streaming, I mean, I want to go see it in theaters, and I'll find an excuse to go do that, which has not been my experience with pretty much any of the movies that we've seen recently. Even if I liked them, I'm like, I'm not going back to the theater to see it. I'll wait. This is a movie where, because it does so much with the medium of film, I want to see it on the big screen again, so I can pay attention to even more of the things that I'm sure just whizzed right by me the first time. So, yeah.
I know that
fucking loved it.
I know they just did a A24 screening room for X.
Yeah.
It just came out yesterday.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that in about 2 or 3 weeks this will be a similar thing, and I will definitely pay $20 to see it again from the comfort of my couch.
The last thing I really want to say about it is I feel like this movie came out at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because we're just off the heels of Marvel starting their cinematic multiverse, or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Yeah.
And DC is about to do their thing. So we get these 2 very serious franchises where, like we talked about earlier, it is more about the multiverse than it is about what these characters are doing. And this movie is all about the characters.
Yeah.
The multiverse is just to get us there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but again, perfect timing. I mean, it's right dab in the middle of all these, like, serious, heavy, like, it's going to be dark.
And it's so nice, just like with Spider-Man, to hear so much positive hype around the movie. Like, I've just heard so many people talking about it who really maybe didn't even know about it until very recently. My sister, when she heard that I went and seen it without her, she was like, what? Aw, because I'd shown her the trailer once, and she was like, okay, I'm 100% sold. I want to go see that.
I've recommended the movie to like 15, 20 people already. Just
I didn't know you knew 15 or 20 people.
I was just about to say the same thing. Got him.
I didn't know if I do. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our main discussion. If you have the same opinion or differing opinions about this movie, then let
Keep
us...
them to yourself.
No, don't do that. Let us know over on Instagram. We're Porcelain Peak everywhere on the internet. That'll wrap it up, though, and we'll get started with our final cut.
What do you know? I asked for final cut, and I got it.
for our final cut this week, we are going to continue talking about Moon Knight. This time we're talking about episodes 2 and 3. Go.
Episode 2, Sailor Moon and Sailor Jupiter. Wait, that's the wrong show. No, so then Sam Rockwell, he's walking around the space station.
No, that's Moon.
No, that's Moon. Okay.
So then he told Haley Joel Osment to be scared of Bruce Willis.
Okay, so that's the Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's Moon Knight.
Oh, Moon Knight. Oh, yeah, okay. Moon Knight Shyamalan.
Isn't it just
And then
Midnight?
swear to me. Oh no, that's the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, which, well, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. The M actually stands for Minoj.
Minoj Knight?
Minoj.
Oh.
Well, his name doesn't actually have the word Knight. That's just it's Minoj something Shyamalan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought that was all made up.
Yeah, no, he has a really cool, like, Indian name.
That's cool.
Anywho,
Off topic, but...
Yeah, let's talk about Oscar Isaac and Moon Knight.
Yeah, so this episode 2 specifically, is him kind of getting in touch with himself for the most part, and then meeting his...
And I think about you, I touch myself.
Again, spoilers. Let's say that now, because I forgot earlier. But then he gets to meet his wife, which sounds weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little bit more discovery. The plot is kind of similar, where he gets himself into a shitty situation and then is kind of battling with himself to come out and then use the suit. Although it's similar, they do kind of play it with a little bit more fun because we get to see him pull out the suit.
Yes, and it's like an actual like 3-piece suit.
It's
It's so fucking
awesome.
good.
Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
That's so funny. Yeah, let's crack it up. So he has a scarab. He finds a bunch of loot, and he is trying to figure out what to do next. His wife shows up, and they're trying to figure out what to do next.
He finds out that he apparently has another identity called Mark Spector.
Yes, and that's who we saw in the first episode, and he is American. Which
And
good
apparently
on him.
Some sort of military hitman.
Yeah, good on him for Oscar Isaac specifically for being able to go between the British accent and then
Sometimes, most of the time, at the drop of a hat.
And we also find out that the reason why he has the powers in general and the suit is that he is basically
The Avatar.
The Avatar, the puppet of an Egyptian god.
Khonshu,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I always want to say, bless you, when somebody says it in the show. Khonshu.
The design for Khonshu, fucking tight.
Right. So,
Super creepy.
And they do enough. They're smart to leave him mostly. You see a lot more of him in episode 3, but they usually keep him like in the background to where he's kind of just. It reminded me of Death Note.
Yeah.
The Shinigami.
Mm-hmm. And scary.
Yeah.
Too in those first couple episodes. So what's going on here is Khonshu. He judges people after they've done something bad, and then will kill them, right?
Yep.
But there's this other god, Amit, I believe, and that god...
Amit du fromage.
Say it again!
Amit du fromage.
And then that god apparently judges you on what you might do.
That's the pre-crime god.
Yeah, it's the Minority Report god.
Yeah, it's the Preckham.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Ethan Hawke's character is trying to raise the Amit god. I don't know, is it a man god or a woman god? Do we know?
I'm not
unclear,
sure.
yeah.
I don't know if the gods have specific genders or if it's just the avatars they choose.
Okay, yeah.
But
that's a
also,
good point.
was a previous Khonshu avatar.
That's a good point too, yeah. And now Khonshu, after he's done with Oscar Isaac's character, wants to take over his wife's body.
Yeah, so that's part of why Oscar Isaac is like, no, I'm going to keep doing Moon Knight shit to protect my wife from having to become the next Avatar because it fucking sucks. But Khonshu and Mark are also pretty pissed that this whole other personality has popped up and become such a pain in the ass for them. So
is it Spencer?
Steven
Grant.
Yeah,
the gift shop dude.
Former, because he loses his job because of the
he's just
previous
so
episode's
pitiful,
activities.
like talking to the statue dude, like the performance guy, like sitting out there, and it's just not even. He's just something to talk to, but. I think the way that he's able to switch between the two personalities and the more you get to see of Mark, the more impressive it gets. And then obviously the Khonshu stuff is really cool if you're someone like us.
Pyramid cats, baby!
Yeah, pyramid. Much fun as fucking pyramid cats. Who's hella into Egypt. And I think that the climax of this episode is pretty intense where you get Mark and Steven kind of fighting over who's going to have control over the body.
I'm
and
talking about how it's like how like being in the like stuck in the mind is like a prison.
It's the sunken place.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. I found it emotionally impactful. I found it very very action packed as well. Like the so far all of the fight scenes and everything have been very fun.
I love the way they're doing Moon Knight. Like I love the way that he looks kind of like he looks more than human when he's moving around, and obviously you can tell there's a lot of CG helping that out, but the way that they have him be just like borderline between real and fake, but it works because he is mystically bound in the garb of a ancient Egyptian god.
Yeah.
One, he looks fucking badass as both Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. So, and I love just like the instant personality change where Moon Knight is just like fucking boom, 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 killing everybody and taking them out. And then Mr. Knight is just like, this is kind of cool that I can.
Yeah.
Like, I love that scene in the alley where he's just like, oh, I'm kind of into this. Like, I could be a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole like twist that the other people can't see the like jackal things that have been attacking him, so he just looks like a complete nut, which is part of why he loses his job. And yeah, I thought it was a good setup for what feels like it's going to be a lot more of an adventurous rest of the season, because then we go to Egypt itself in episode 3.
Yeah, we do. And in this one, Ethan Hawke's character has the scarab that is a compass, and he's using that to locate on it. And then Oscar Isaac's character and his wife are attempting to find out where they're at so they can stop it.
Yeah, so we get some stuff that reminded me a little bit of like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, they're like putting together the constellations from this like sarcophagus that's out in the wild, and this like
I was like, you guys are
seedy
so
people stuff.
fucking bad at being sneaky, because I was like, the whole time that they're talking in front of the mummy, Mark is like looking behind him like don't stop looking at them, you're making yourself look suspicious. And then as soon as he started touching the mummy, I was like, oh, you done goofed, man.
Yeah,
you guys are about to get into a fight.
And we get a similar scene to something like the beginning of Civil War or Winter Soldier? I think it's Winter Soldier.
Silver War and
War.
Winter
Soldier.
Shoulder.
Okay. I think it's Winter Soldier where because when's the crossbones at the, I don't know.
I think both.
But where they're running through the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Civil War, because that's when she blows shit up.
Yeah. Very similar to that, where they're running through Egypt. But what they do in this one is, because of these personality shifts, we get huge jumps, and we have kind of no idea what's going on, but we're able to
There's
piece
a bunch
it
of
together.
dead people, and in this episode, we start to realize that there may be another
third one,
personality
yeah.
that they don't know about, which, as someone who is not super well-versed in the Moon Knight character, I don't know how many personalities he's supposed to have, and if there are more to come, I assume, they're probably going to be revealing something, because it seems so far that Khonshu doesn't have the ability to just take over Mark or Steven's body. He has to have that, he has to have consent, which is nice.
It's good. That's the meaning of the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the character beyond what we've seen?
I do not. I mean, I do know that, like I said, that the character suffers from DID. So it is something where it seems like so far that they're portraying that in an accurate way. And I found it, like I said, very, very impactful, and that it adds a lot to the story to make it feel different. And I think that they're not playing it off as something where it's meant to make the character feel crazy. It's meant to make them feel like they've just got more stuff going on that they have to get through.
Yeah. And I liked at the beginning how it was just the one personality was the superhero. Now that they're more aware of each other, it makes sense that they're both kind of taking up the mantle. But at first I was like, that's cool. Like, my other personality or whatever, my other identity is a superhero, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that in this episode they explore like the code breaking stuff, them needing Steven to help, and the wife like desperately saying, okay, you need to let Steven have the body so that he can help us figure this out. And them being obviously just better at certain things. Like, obviously, Mark is more of the like brutish military tactical guy, and Steven is the super smart code breaking. So they make a pretty complete hero, when they're working together. And so it seems like that's kind of where we're going, is Mark and Steven learning to work together in a way that they can be Moon Knight without having to constantly fight against each other and have it be such a big upheaval every time they need to summon the suit. And I think that's why people may be a little bit bummed that we don't see a lot of Moon Knight so far in these first 3 episodes, but I think it's because once we start getting a lot of him, it needs to be earned. It needs to be deserved. Like these characters have come to an understanding, and they can now be Moon Knight and Mr. Knight together and take care of things the way they're supposed to.
I think that they start to go there with episode 3, like you were saying,
But then
especially
it gets ripped
toward
right out from under us.
Well, more toward I was thinking about the big fight scene in this one where he gets stabbed a bunch of times, and then he's like, "Wait, no, you take over." Like he's willing to go back and forth with him instead
because
of
they're realizing that they have different strengths that can help them in different situations. Yeah.
So I think that furthers what you're saying a lot too. I would say that this one had a lot going on.
Yeah, we have a courtroom drama in the Great Pyramid of Giza, which this I assume was a set. It didn't look like it was CG. It looked incredible. I don't know if that's what the inside of the Pyramid of Giza looks like,
but it looks pretty fucking awesome.
But I haven't seen Eternals. I've heard that this scene compared to like the vibe of Eternals with like these kind of like Watcher, ancient Egyptian god characters. It also kind of reminded me of Percy Jackson in, but instead of Greek gods, it's Egyptian gods. I liked the idea of them having the different avatars. I wasn't completely sold on Oscar Isaac's performance as Khonshu, where he's just kind of flailing his arms around and shouting at the top of his lungs. I was like, what is he supposed to be doing here? Because that's not what Khonshu sounds like when we hear him talk. But
I also wasn't sold on Ethan Hawke being very convincing in that scene. Like, they're just kind of like, okay, we believe you.
It's like, dude, this dude looks shady as fuck. Like,
yeah.
Like, you don't look at Ethan Hawke with that hair and that outfit and
that
go,
cane, where he's like, I have ultimate power.
It's fucking cult leader written all over him. Come on, it's class. It's fucking textbook.
But in terms of a villain, I do think that he is one of the stronger ones so far in Marvel, which sometimes has really, really good villains, and sometimes just has the most boring villains ever. I like that one. He has the connection to Khonshu he has that whole speech in the end where he's like, "Hey, my whole plan is going to be successful because of you and the torment that you put me through." So he has that
good motivation,
and he has a Thanos level plan basically, but with almost more logic behind it, because in his mind he's like, I'm going to judge and get rid of the bad people before they can do bad things, as opposed to Thanos is just like, I'm going to make it random and get rid of half of the people at random. He's like, no, I'm going to do it like with what I think is the morally right way to do it, and it comes into conflict with, and I'm not saying that his plan is good. He wants to kill a lot of people, but it kind of lends it that Thanos level of, okay, he has some sort of motivation that makes sense in his warped version of reality, just like Moon Knight and Khonshu and all of them have their own perspectives on, should we kill people, should we not kill people, like what is Moon Knight supposed to even be, and so it just creates a cool dynamic between the two of them.
So do you this is a little off topic, do you think that the Thanos way of doing things is better or worse than the Amit way of doing things?
Well, after I saw that tweet about half of your gut biome disappearing and then having diarrhea for like 5 years because of it, I don't know if Thanos' plan was very good. Yeah, I mean, I think both plans are bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
good way to start.
Yeah. Okay. I think genocide in general is a bad thing. I don't know, because I don't like the pre-crime thing. Like, it obviously has its problems. We watched Minority Report and we know that. And I don't like the idea of, you can just judge people before they've even done something and that there's no room for change. It feels kind of like why maybe humans have moved past the Egyptian gods, like they say, is because we've realized that we are ever changing and evolving, and we're no longer stuck in the ways of believing in ancient gods like this. And that kind of plays into, maybe you shouldn't just judge people with magic and tell whether they're good or bad or evil. Like that's
it's reductive.
It's reductive. Yeah.
Well, then it also comes down to like, what's good, or how do you define bad?
Yeah. I mean, we've all done bad shit. 100%.
Not me.
But
saint,
I did also want to say that I really do like about Ethan Hawke's character. I think that he is not just a carbon copy of Moon Knight, which I think is something that Marvel falls into the pitfall of.
He's going to fight another Black Panther. He's going to fight another Iron Man, but bigger.
Yeah, very often they have these like characters that are like the exact same thing, just the evil version.
He gives me kind of a Jafar vibe.
Yeah,
because he's got the staff, the magic staff, and he's kind of like I'm a good guy, but I'm also super creepy.
Yeah, even with a lot of the shows, it's been very similar. Obviously, part of the Falcon and Winter Soldier series was super soldiers fighting other people with, basically like super soldier technology or whatever. So that was, that's basically the same characters fighting against each other. WandaVision, even, where it's another witch ends up being the, spoiler alert for WandaVision. We've already,
spoilers.
we're in the middle of a different show that's also from the same company. If you haven't watched WandaVision yet, you need to fucking do that. But
don't get mad at them because you spoiled.
I mean, I think the only one that really only really compares in this situation is Loki, and that's because you get a bait and switch villain who isn't actually the person who is the villain, and there's more stuff that happens later in the series who is nothing like Loki.
Yeah, all of what you just said, I agree with.
Yeah,
my biggest complaint, I think, with episode 3 specifically, is that sometimes the placement of mirrors feels a little forced. Like when he has the knife up to the guy's neck, I was like, this guy's like a dirtbag.
Yeah.
That knife would not be that clean. And then when they're in the market, there's just a random mirror on the wall. And I was like, okay, like I get why you have to do it. But sometimes I was like, that's silly.
Yeah, it's just probably
the easiest way to
easiest way to visualize the DID thing.
Which I get.
So level of suspension of disbelief that I'm willing to get on board for what I'm getting otherwise, which is so far 3 quality episodes of television.
Also, I'm really interested to see how powerful these, because to me it seems like Moon Knight is crazy powerful compared to a lot of the other Avengers, at least. And when you put on top of that just Khonshu's power to just cause a solar eclipse to get the gods' attention,
or to completely change the constellations,
yeah,
from 2,000 years back.
That scene was fucking gorgeous. Also,
yes.
It reminded me of like the nighttime photography that your wife and sister-in-law have done. But
yeah, and at first I was like, can everyone see this? And
that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, is this just them that can see it? And then you see people looking up. But you got to think, in this world, when half of the world already disappeared and reappeared 5 years later, they're probably just like,
they all seemed pretty calm. I would have been freaking the fuck out. You know, it's like, is the sky falling?
This happens in Egypt all the time.
It's kind of tight though.
But yeah, I'm enjoying the show. I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, do you think that? And maybe this was clear and I just missed it. But now that Khonshu is stone, can he still summon the suit or not?
It doesn't seem like it.
Okay.
So they have to get him back so that way they can start summoning that suit.
Khonshu got stoned.
Is Khonshu the voice of the person that passed away?
No, that's a younger guy. It's F. Murray Abraham or something is the voice of Khonshu. The other guy from Hannibal, I don't. Has he shown up already? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find out.
For him.
Yeah, so that part I was like, I wonder, and so that kind of sucks because they were just starting to get into it, and so I'm curious of how long it's going to take us to get Khonshu back. Because how do you release a god from stone? It can't be that easy.
Well,
and they're inside the Pyramid of Giza, which is supposed to be pretty heavily guarded, right?
I guess we'll find out at next week's episode.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think this was probably my least favorite of the 3 episodes, was episode 3, just because some of it felt like, I guess, less unique. I did like some of the different areas of Egypt we got to see, like when they're on the river and it has the really cool lighting and everything, and then you get to see Egypt as more of a city. But those first 2 episodes, I think, because they were so focused on just Steven and his struggle, and then Steven and Mark struggle, I think once we introduce the wife and we introduce all these other characters, it's starting to get a little bit marvelly and busy. But it's only 6 episodes, so we're halfway through.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be just continue to barrel through to the end, and I doubt we're gonna get an episode that's like, wow, that was like the slow episode. I think they're all gonna be just like, wow, a lot happened in that episode.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I would say if you haven't already, then you could start watching it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check it out.
Cool. Let me pull up what we're talking about next week. So I think for Final Cut, we are going to continue with Moon Knight. Is that correct?
I'm down.
Okay. And then for our main discussion, we are doing a little redemption because we haven't done one in a while. So we are going to finish off our shameful horror misses for this round. I'm going to be watching the Amityville Horror, and as of the last couple of days, that's on Hulu and HBO Max. John's going to be checking out Phantasm.
Finally.
Which is
fucking finally
on Peacock, Pluto, Tubi, and Shudder if you want to follow along with us. And then Anthony is going to check out Don't Look Now, which unfortunately is available to rent. I could not find it streaming anywhere that I can talk about.
Well, life finds a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen those, check those out so you can watch along with us. I'm looking forward to it.
And we're also going to be giving 3 new horror shameful misses. So
We can try.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's plenty we haven't seen still.
Yeah, and
I've always got shame.
just a little preview. Next month, we're toying around the idea of kind of diving into Sam Raimi a little bit in honor of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And so I think we're talking about watching Drag Me to Hell, Evil Dead, and some others. We'll give you more details as that comes. But if
Maybe
you,
some Dark Man.
yeah, if you aren't familiar with Sam Raimi, then now would be a good time to get started. Anything else we want to talk about?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, that has been our episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for listening. We will see you next time. I have been Tone.
I've been John.
And I have been an everything bagel with literally everything on it. And the internet, darling Anthony.
Thanks again.
Keep it creepy.
For exclusive episodes, early access, merch, and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Porcelain Peak.
Thanks to all our patrons for the support, and special thanks to producers Chuck, Rob, Ashley, and Michael.
You can find Porcelain Peak on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Wherever you listen, don't forget to rate, review, share, and subscribe so you never miss a thrilling episode.
Special thanks to Roger Jackson for introducing the show, and to Jeff For Real for composing the Porcelain Peak opening and closing song.
All content and episodes are written, produced, designed, and edited by the Porcelain Peak team, consisting of Anthony Perez, John Brasher, and Anthony Silva.
This has been here words for Weirdos Production.